Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet?
I love people as I meet them one by one. People are just wonderful as individuals. You see the whole...
My great aspiration, my greatest ambition is to be so good. Now, in that way, I'm tiresome, as I suppose, to live with, because I want to be a fantastic human being.
I am the greatest. We're not disputing that, Cassius, but how does Sonny Liston feel about it? He can't feel but one way, and let's take everything I say and like it. Because February the 25th, I'm going to take back my job. I'm the champ. He's no champ. He's a tramp.
When you see men fall, don't laugh. Learn. Learn. Because you're on your way up. And the things that tempt people to fall, you and I are not free from that temptation.
Yo, 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 yo. What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, IG, Rumble, Kick, wherever you are, man. Shout outs to you. Much love, glory, praise, and honor to the Most High. First and foremost, always going to give credit where credit is due. Without him, there is no me or you. I hope all is well with everybody that is in the building. Thank you for hanging out with us this evening. Do me a solid, like, share, repost, let the people know that we are live. Tap in with us on YouTube. Tap in on every single streaming platform that might be available to you at this particular time and moment. Hump Day is tomorrow. Juneteenth is on the way, and Mr. Robert Kelly has been hospitalized. Glorilla has won an award for gospel music. Interesting. I got Sydney in the building. I'm going to bring her up here in a second. Shout outs to my writers, poets, content creators. You know, I give love where love is deserved. Special shout outs to Jason, Rob. If you're watching, brother, appreciate you for everything that you do, man. Continue to push your music. Lynn, Robert Brown is in the building. What's going on, sir? It's been a minute. I hope all is well with you. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about tonight. I don't know if anyone's familiar with the story. I do got a video that I'm going to play. But let me get Sydney up here so we can start this show. Sydney, what's up?
Hello. How are you?
I am well. I am well. I am good, bro. I am good. Salute, salute, salute. All is well. It's just good to be alive.
Absolutely.
amongst good people, good, bad, and indifferent.
I got a good surprise today.
Oh
My
yeah,
husband joked with me, and he actually got home today. He surprised me. All that I said yesterday, I'm like, oh, he's probably going to be out there until July. Nope, he's back.
that's what's up. That's what's
Yeah.
up. Robert Brown said, "What's up, Sid?"
Hello. Good to see
Yeah,
you. And Jenny as well.
always good to see familiar faces. Hey, I don't even know where I want to start. I guess I want to address this first. Um, then we go into the R. Kelly situation because
No
yeah,
Jason today?
that's a lot. Um, so apparently at the BET Awards, Glorilla won a award a for gospel. Now, if you don't if you don't know who Glorilla is, she is a rapper. Her music has absolutely never identified remotely with praising or worshiping. I have yet to hear one song, and I'm not someone who listens to her music, but my Pandora and I see her on my timeline and on my social media. SM, what's going on? What's going on? I have never heard of her ever doing anything remotely close to giving praise to God or anything like that. So excuse me if I'm a little befuddled at the fact that she won an award for gospel music. Is that what's happening now? Is that what we've come to with these award shows? Let me ask you, how do you feel about music award shows or award shows in general?
I personally have never been a fan of award shows. Like, to me, they're kind of akin to like that family function. I mean, the work function that your parents drag you to. Um, I've I love music. I love listening to music, but I've just never really cared about giving awards to people for it, I guess. But that's just that's partially just me. Not really anything to do with the the award shows themselves, because I know I had some teachers that loved them and friends and stuff. Um, but I do find them to be a little bit dystopian sometimes, seeing like the just the wealth gap and the type of people, or the type of things people will do when they have money, especially with their like outfits and stuff. Even though I know sometimes they don't always, it's not them, it's like the designer. Um, but yeah, I've never really paid too much attention to award shows.
I used to love them back in the day. I used to get excited to watch them. There was a different feel for it. It was still derogatory to a certain extent, but it wasn't as bad as it is now. And I was a little more innocent and naive. I always looked at it like, oh, somebody actually had a chance to win. There was 5 to 6 different artists that would pull up to an R&B show or a hip hop genre, and when you had somebody come to the stage and they would do their, here's the categories for such and such, the lineup was so fire, it was hard for you to really say who was going to win it. I have not heard about Kanye. outside of him going to Diddy's trial.
He just recently changed his name again. And he also released a I can't even say it what it's about, but he just released a song that has been banned in many, many different countries because of a repeating line that he uses in the song. My husband just showed it to me right before the show. It is wild, to say the least. But yeah, that just happened.
We talked about this man before, and my question was: is he crazy, or is he just playing the role of a nutcase to
Oh,
get over on people, so they won't come after him the way they could if he would reveal truth in a normal way, like Orlando Brown. At this point, nothing really surprises me with Kanye and what he's doing. If Diddy can change his name 20 times, why he can't change his name? Uh, uh, to go back to something that Robert said, yeah, the 80s and 90s music, bro, that's all I really listened to be honest with you. Matter of fact, I was just listening to Busy Bone like just 20 minutes ago. Yeah, Bone Thugs and Harmony, all that old stuff, bro. I still listen to it like it's. I don't listen to it as much, but I'll prefer that over anything that's out now. That's just my preference, though. But now, Glorilla, how the hell did Glorilla end up getting an award for gospel music? I haven't watched the award shows in years. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's probably been like 10, 15 years since I last watched an award show. I used to watch it for the ciphers, but then I started noticing that it was getting watered down. It was getting cheesy. It was getting overly theatrical. Will Smith slapped Chris Rock on stage. Like it was getting more and more embarrassing. We weren't being represented properly. It just turned into a whole circus. So now I haven't really watched it. To me, it just isn't what it used to be. And for her to win a award for gospel was absolutely insane to me. I just wanted to address that because I was going to do a separate recording to it all by itself. I probably still will do it because that irritated my soul.
I was trying to look up what song she won for that, and I haven't found the song yet, but just from the outfit that she wore accepting the award, I'm shocked that she would fall in that category.
It's crazy as hell. It don't make no sense. That's how you
She
know.
literally bears it all in that outfit.
I'm 100% convinced that at this point, all of it is rigged. It's just a big popularity contest.
Hmm. I wouldn't be surprised if it was just as corrupt as another system in America. Like, if they just, whoever pays the most can get themselves on a list or whatever.
Uh, hold on. I don't know who you talking about, bro. I'm gonna need you to give me a name. I might have missed something. Nah, I'm not. I
Stop.
don't know. I don't know.
Stop.
I'm at this point. I'm completely done with the award shows. I'm done with the music itself. It's not hip hop. It's not that right there to me is blasphemous. It's extremely disrespectful. I could go a little deeper with that. I'll save my opinions for that on a later date because I don't understand how anybody could look at her, how she dresses, how she carries herself, her content in general, and associate that with God at all. That's crazy to me. And I'm gonna stop there. I just wanted to know if you listened or ever watched the award shows or the Grammys or um, any of it. Again, I don't know what song it was that she was nominated for that won. I'm gonna have to find it. If you find it before,
I found it.
Oh, you did?
It's called Rain Down on Me. And as I thought, it definitely has innuendos in there. She references her baby's father. It's I can see why it would be classified as gospel, but the message to me doesn't seem very gospel-y. It still seems very like narcissistic type. Like one of her lines, feeling like I'm God's favorite, and that's the best feeling ever. Rain down on me, Father God. I won't use an umbrella. Like, okay. Interesting. Not my cup of tea, but
Oh,
good for her, I guess.
okay. I'll tell you what, on the reaction I do, I'm gonna pull her lyrics and I'm gonna actually react to the lyrics. I'm not gonna play the music, but I'm gonna go over them lyrics. I gotta hear this for myself. All right, Jen. Take care of yourself, all right? Um, this is what I really want to get into because I just found out about this like yesterday. R. Kelly. R. Kelly has been hospitalized, and there's people that want him out of prison. You know, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna play the video, and then I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Ain't no way he randomly received increased dosage after y'all allegedly just tried to kill him. Y'all, they just had to hospitalize R. Kelly because according to prison staff, he had an overdose of drug medication.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
First thing first, let me get this out the way. They watch this medication so hard, you ain't about to get an aspirin or an ibuprofen without them documenting that shit. Remember, I reported the story about the Aryan Brotherhood taking a hit from prison officials to take R. Kelly out. The man was on his deathbed and decided not to do it, so he snitched. Yeah, he ratted on the water. This is so messed up because when his lawyers went to the public asking for him to be released, they act as if this man was just crying. And he trying to tell y'all he's fighting for his life. I don't know what to do about this. Trump then pardon everybody in the world. It's time for R. Kelly to come home, man. They trying to kill him, bro. They trying to kill Kels. They trying to kill Kels. They trying to kill Kels. And I'm going to keep screaming it until they let him out. Free R. Kelly, man. I hope he get well soon. But guess what? In the hands of these prison officials, he'll never get well soon. We might see him again in the box. We could start the petition with this video, y'all. Come on, let's help R. Kelly, y'all. They trying to kill this man, and they're this close to being successful. Ain't no way he randomly received
Fighting for his life in prison, huh? Who could have saw that one coming? Who would have thought that you could go to jail and actually have to worry about someone trying to harm you?
Well, at least the non-inmates.
So everybody, I mean, we all know why he went to prison. And based on this video, apparently he's had attempts on his life. From what I'm getting or gathering here, it's more than just inmates just intentionally trying to unalive him. This is more or less a coordinated attack on him. How do you feel about this?
I'm not shocked. I don't really condone him. I mean, I don't know. I don't really remember exactly what all of the evidence was for him. But just from what I remember when the case first came out, I was pretty sure that he did what he did. But I also believe fully that the prison system is 100% corrupt. It is it honestly, I think it's kind of a magnification of our country. It's just a microcosm of the same things that are affecting the United States as a whole, where it's the wealth disparity, where the highly wealthy can afford a luxurious prison stay, where everyone else is subjected to near abusive conditions. And I'm 100% sure that there's all sorts of corruption within the system, between the wardens, the correction officers, the I forgot the name of it, the person that owns the whole prison in general. Like I've watched some documentaries talking about the issues within prison systems, and 1,000% corruption is believable. So and what the person said in the video was completely accurate, where they watch you like a hawk. When they give you the medication, they make sure you open your mouth. You have to show them that you swallowed the pill. They give it to you in a tiny little cup. You don't get to take the pills out yourself. So it would either have to be somebody not paying attention at all, or it was planned. I really can't see it being any other way. And at least from the article that I saw, they're trying to say that they're trying to make it seem like he tried to kill himself, which I think is ridiculous, because if you're trying to kill yourself, how would you do it with medication that is being given to you? You'd have to do it with a stash, not from the medication given to you that day. So it wouldn't have been oh, they gave him too much. It would have been oh yeah, he had hoarded all these pills over the past couple months and then he took them all. So I don't buy that. If they try and say oh, he's trying to kill himself, and I wouldn't believe that. But yeah, I would not be surprised if it was a conspiracy.
I think it is. I'm convinced it is. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought prison was supposed to be for rehabilitation.
Theoretically.
So, theoretically, you do a crime, you go in there, and you're supposed to serve a sentence that's by law equal to the level of the crime that you actually inflicted. You're putting yourself in a infrastructure full of like-minded people who don't really have a regard for human life or themselves. You sign on to be a prison guard or a warden or someone who works within that perimeter to ensure that they are serving time. Well, let's do this from the outside looking in. What does rehabilitation and a solidified legitimate punishment for an inmate look like to the general public? Like, you killed somebody, you stole and you robbed somebody, your sentence, you got to go behind these walls. That life is no longer similar to the outside world. What does that look like to a regular citizen?
In general, are you saying to the people on the outside who are watching the people going into prison, or like from the perspective of the people in prison?
From the perspective of the person that is on the outside of the walls.
Mm-hmm. What would it look like for somebody to be like
if you had expectations for what you believe a punishment is supposed to reflect based on the prisoner or the inmate, what would it kind of instill or look like to you?
For one, I think that there needs to be at least two separate avenues of punishment. And I use the term punishment loosely. There needs to be punishment for those people that, like, it was simply an accident. They did not actually mean to do what they did. They, for whatever reason, they were not focusing or whatever. Those people are far less likely to reoffend than people that are chronic crime committers. So there would need to be something for those individuals, because they would require a less extensive process than those that have an actual problem. And for those that actually need more of the services, I think the closest emulation of the ideal process would probably be like Sweden or Norway for me, because what they have in Sweden, Norway, is almost like supervised housing, where they're really basic, very, very basic apartments. And they live there, but while they're living there, they're also required to hold a job within the program, whether it's like a cook or cleaner or whatever other jobs there were. To reestablish their sense of like community participation and reliance on other people and stuff like that, because that is one of the things that makes people more likely to have a higher recidivism rate, which is like returning back to prison, is the sense of isolation. Like, you don't have family members to support you, you don't have community members to support you. That is one of the highest, one of the most important key indicators to whether or not somebody will return to prison, is having that community to support them. So that needs to be established while they are in care. Also, they need to have access to actual proper psychological help, psychiatric help, mental and physical health services should be available the entire time. And yes, it's available in prisons, but it's like, it depends on where you go, because some places are better than others, but there are some places that you can't get in for months. There are some places that people die waiting. So that absolutely needs to be a priority. Really, the condition should be good enough to allow them the basic human rights: the right to sleep, the right to eat healthily, the right to exercise, the right to be free of fear and free of safety concerns. those are essential human needs, and those need to be provided. Right now, a lot of prisons do not provide that. It needs to offer them sources of both enrichment and sources of career development, because prison, another reason why people end up in prison again, is because they get back into the real world, and especially those that have been in for years. It's a shock to their system because it's so regimented in prison. And then once you get out into the real world, a lot of them will reoffend just to get back into the routine that prison offered them. So we need to help the people establish a routine that's able to be transitioned into the real world, to get them ready to function in society. And then lastly, they need to have access to their family members and their friends, because the isolation that we put prisoners through not only affects their mental health, but it also impacts the families that are affected by them. It's like their parents aren't there for them. Their child is no longer there. They don't have access to the people around them. And that has a toll on mental health. That has a toll on physical health. That has a toll on the chances of reoffending. People need to have motivation. And also, from the other's perspective, prisoners not being allowed to have access to their families makes the families see the prisoners differently. If you're allowed to visit people in prison, it changes your view of prisons. It changes your view of the prisoners, and it changes your view of people dealing with difficult conditions like alcoholism and drug abuse and all of these things that are stereotyped and taboo. It's the same deal with the fact that we don't really see death around us anymore. It's changed our perspective of death, because not being exposed to it, we become separated from it. And it really changes how we deal with it. And we don't deal with it as well because we don't have exposure to essentially practice for the closer situations of death. It's like that in the prison, where the more people, average people, that see the insides of prisons and see how prisoners actually live, the more we'll actually have reform for those prisoners. Because if most people today went into prisons and saw what they actually have to deal with, a lot of people would be up in arms trying to change things. That's exactly what stemmed the prison reforms in the 1910s and 20s, I believe it was. They had religious groups traveling to visit prisons, and women suffragettes and like people that were involved in like political areas also started to see what people were living like, and that appalled them enough to force changes in the system. And I think that's what we need, because right now the prison system is set up against anyone that goes into it. If you enter into a prison in America, you're more likely to end up in a prison again. And every time you go to prison, it just increases your likelihood that you're going to end up dying in prison. And the exposure to violence, the exposure to drugs, the exposure to other undesirable occupations, you're more likely to get involved in negative activities if you go to prison. And so they need to make prison a place that discourages those things. Instead, they make it into it's not a cesspool, because that's not a very good, nice word, but an echo chamber, I guess, where it really joins all of these people together and makes it easier for criminals to network. But if we set it up as more of a community with actual experts working alongside the people that are like doctors and psychologists and stuff, it would be much easier to catch people before they even start doing these things. Because if you can get them to start, like, for example, catch them when they're thinking, oh, I'd like to go shoplifting. I'm getting that feeling that I want to go shoplifting. If you can stop them in those moments, they're going to be much, much better off, because they're going to eventually learn how to stop themselves from doing those behaviors. And it's out of their own mental cognition and practice that they're doing it, rather than somebody telling you not to do it. Because historically, when you tell yourself to do something, you are far more likely to finish and accomplish that thing than if somebody else is telling you what to do. Because there's always that little bit in the human mind that it doesn't like to be told what to do. And so the change has to come from within the people that are going through that experience. And so we need to, so to see actual results, you have to have people walking besides them to help them make the right choices and help them understand how they can make the right choices on their own when nobody else is around, when the emotions are really strong and overpowering. Because the way we do it right now is we try to fear them into not doing it. It's like screaming at a kid and expecting them not to do whatever they did again. And it doesn't work. It just makes people more angry. It makes them more disenfranchised. It makes them feel like they're ignored, especially if it's a person that didn't even do what they did, because we all know that there's a lot of people that are in there that shouldn't even be in prison. So yeah, I think we need to set up these prison reform places as an actual community, as something much closer to what normal Americans live in, and not this like warehouse for awful people, which is basically how we treat them. We ship them away, and we don't look at them until they're good, and then they can come back to society. And clearly, that doesn't work. If anybody has ever seen the results of locking up a dog in a cage for a year without any interaction with humans, you'll understand why people coming out of prison are more violent and more angry and less social than they were before.
One of the reasons I asked is because he was charged with, racketeering and uh, molestation and things of that nature. So when I think about prison, and I put I put on my unbiased binoculars, I'm looking at it from your point of view, and then I'm looking at it from the other side. The ones that scream burn in hell, the ones that want you to get beat up, stabbed. They want you to suffer. They want you to mentally be strangled to the point to where you don't even identify yourself as a human anymore. They want you behind the walls in misery. So you have a version of you, and then you have a version that is like firing squad, gas chamber, the needle. Hell, I just read a comment on a post where they suggested, one of the commenters said, you need to turn death penalties into a pay-per-view. The viewers should be able to witness and watch. We'll pay to watch you execute somebody. And for R. Kelly, just for what you said in general, the government is cheap. They're not going to cough out the type of money that will be required to execute what you suggested. they do it to a certain extent, but they're not about to go out of their way for that. As far as most humans go, you're in hell. This is not going to be fun. This isn't supposed to be cute. You're not supposed to live like a regular civilian when you go behind these closed doors. You are supposed to absolutely feel like you have no rights. All of it is stripped away, and nobody's exempt. That's why I've heard people say, and I believe you said it before, that murder, like there's crimes or criminals that should be put in certain places. Everybody is not supposed to be mixing in the same, but they don't care about that. Everybody's going in the same place. So, like with all of that, how do you, how can you really execute what you're referring to, but still, because like I said, it's you against this person. They want executions. They want the person's head stomped in until he got one eye hanging outside his socket. How do you argue with that person and give them, like, they just lost somebody, their loved one is gone, somebody took away their child? How do you convince them that your way is the more efficient way to deal with the ones that's going to be behind these bars serving this time?
I think that's part of the challenge, is that once people's emotions get involved, it's easier for people to slip into inhumane treatment. And so that's really what the law is for, is to help define the line between what is humane and what is inhumane and what is okay to do. So I think there's that's kind of a line that we will always kind of have to argue over. But in general, even for people that are repeat criminals, they're very clearly going to be reoffenders. I think those, like, people that very clearly have a problem. I don't think I mentioned this before, but if you are, like, it was an accident or whatever, I think you should have an option. Like, you'll get the option to work your way out of the program. If you obviously are not going to be innocent, like if you're going to keep doing whatever you're doing, they should be in a permanent type program. So I think it should depend on the severity, almost in the same way that they do with people with mental disabilities, where they have, like, you'll have a social worker that you have to regularly meet with. You have to regularly go to therapy. Like, you should be required to have contact with people regularly, so they can keep track of what you're doing. I think the truly dangerous people, the ones that are like, it's not very common, but there are the really rare types that are actually, like, physically violent for no reason because they have, like, a brain issue. I think those people, it would be safest for them to be locked away by themselves in, like, obviously a room. It should be more like a cheap hotel room, in a sense, where it's like, you have the bed, you have a table, you have a chair, you have your curtains and stuff, but there's not going to be, like, you're not going to get other special amenities and stuff, I guess, that would be projectiles or something. But I think everyone should still have the basic right to a clean space, a place to sleep, a place to sit and eat. Like, I think all of those things should be consistent. But I think it would just, the amount of supervision going forward will depend on, like, how severe your crime was and how, like, remorseful you were. And that way, in theory, I guess, the people that didn't really need to have that much work, like they weren't going to reoffend, they just made a mistake, they'll have the opportunity to get their life back without being permanently scarred by this, like you have this on your record and now you'll never get another job even though you were 21 and stupid type of deal. But it would allow us to catch those that are more violent and more reoffending, because then you'd have people monitoring them over time, and then they would have to be well versed in like identifying behaviors and stuff like that that make red flags and stuff. But that would be the way, at least that I think, that we'd be able to achieve both autonomy for those people, but also punishment and redirection to make sure that they actually change. I think for resistant people, we could probably take the same tactic as those that are like severely mentally ill, where we just like put them away in those places under supervision rather than like group home living. Like group home living would be the type of people that are like maybe drug addicts, or like they were low income, so they were thieving, stuff like that. So yeah, I think it should just be like different situations based on what your thing was, like and possibly by crime. Like you have the apartment for those that shouldn't be around children, and then you have the apartment for the people that are violent and need more supervision with locking doors and like cameras and stuff. Or you might have the people with the alcohol problems and they have less security, but they have people that are like making sure they're like with their food, and maybe they like have to have their groceries checked when they come back in the house or something. Like, I don't know, just more adjusted to the type of crimes that people are committing, because I think that's more accurate. The type of crimes that people commit are more loosely based around their situation and what they're going through. Because it, like, chances are, if you're stealing, you're either addicted to drugs or something and are trying to get money for it, or you're desperately poor and you're trying to make ends meet, or you're a kid that just is trying to have fun. So it's like there's usually a profile for specific crimes. So I feel like they should use punishment to match the profile rather than the crime. If that makes sense.
Let's say the conspiracy is real. They're trying to assassinate R. Kelly behind these prison walls.
Why would they want to? Just curious.
Well, for the same reason they encourage every single pedophile that goes to prison. I've seen comments everywhere. I hope that when they get in there and they meet Big John or I hope they do to him what he did to her. And they when you're, like I said, you're speaking from a level-headed, logical type of a side, right? But then you got to remember, over here, this is the lawless, unruly. We want you
Wild West.
Yeah, we want you to feel what the hell we felt. Like you caused us thousands and thousands of dollars of damage. You took loved ones from us. We had to bury people.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking to an entirely different side that wants immediate results, not understanding that within those results, you're still not going to get to what you thought you were going to get from it. So it's like, if you're going to give out a sentence and it's just, cool, but what's the point of the sentence if it doesn't really accomplish the goal that it's supposed to? Which brings me to, should he be released? Should he, if he's really under this organized attack on his life, should his sentence be officially served? Should he be able to come home? What would justify him being released?
He's only served what, like 3 years, 2 years of his sentence.
Yeah, something around that.
I mean, I personally find maybe a health event, like if he found out he had like an incurable disease or something and he was dying, like sure, let him out, let him have the remainder of his life, whatever. But I don't know why you'd release somebody this early. Like, I'm pretty sure what he got, like 30 years.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know if I could. Especially because for me, kid crimes are one of those that I'm like, I don't have a lot of sympathy for you.
See that part, that's this side over here. That part of you right there, that's that side. They ain't trying to hear all that. You know?
Yeah.
So it's
Like I still think people should be treated like a human being and shouldn't be abused, but I also don't really want them to be out in the world with it's like the equivalent of like, would you trust an alcoholic in a store, like an alcohol store? Would you trust a P word out in the world with kids around? No. So I think that's a huge part of it, is people don't want them to exist in the world with the expectation that they're probably going to reoffend.
So how do you deal with conspiracy on someone's life? Like if this is true, I'm saying I don't know how true it is. He said it once before, and he tried to bring it to court before, that the prison itself was in on it. So it's like, all right, if what you're telling me is there's a legitimate hit put out on him, how do you keep him in prison but keep him from being assassinated?
I think if we had a cooperative administration, I would hope that we do an investigation into the entire prison network, just because that whole thing is now an issue. And frankly, I know it'd be overcomplicated, and that's probably why they would never do it. But it should be like they should be redistributed to other prisons, because I mean, there's so much conspiracy. I mean, there's so much mistreatment everywhere that it technically wouldn't solve the problem yet, but we need to start somewhere. So I would definitely say redistribute them out of that prison, because clearly the people running that prison can't be trusted. And so that needs to be redone completely. Fire all of those people, investigate, prosecute. But I don't know. Sadly, because it's a corrupt system, there's probably not much we can do for him, or in general. But I mean, if we wanted to treat him like a human being, then the best thing to do would be transferring him to somewhere else that would uphold the human right to be treated fairly. So there's that, but I can't really think of any other. I don't see release as an option. I know some people want it to be, but yeah, I think it would mostly just be transitioning his care to somebody else.
I mean, they do have prisons where they are like you described. I was just Instagram shows you so much stuff. This guy, he killed somebody and they got him. It didn't even look like a jail. It looked like my room. He had a kitchen, a bed, a toilet. It looked like a regular, like studio little apartment, and he's a murderer. I mean, they could. There are prisons specifically for wealthy people. So, and they've actually killed people. So my thing is, why didn't y'all send him there in the first place? I want to know why the hell is there such thing? That boggles my mind.
Profit.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, literally, rich people can opt to hire a private security team, so they don't even have to go to prison. They can just be in their house and be on house arrest. I'm like, it's not house arrest. That would be like if they gave me the option to, like, hey, do you want to go to jail, or would you rather hang out at the resort in Orlando for 6 months? Like, which would you rather do? Orlando, please. Like, what? I can choose. That's all it is. I've always thought that the idea of celebrity house arrest was laughable.
Very, very almost Def Comedy Jam level.
hmm I'm like, even my house isn't that luxurious, and if somebody told me that I had to be locked up in my house for a year or however long or whatever, that wouldn't bother me that much. I don't do much anyway, so I'm like, all right, cool. Like, can I use DoorDash at least?
I'm about to do a reaction video to something that absolutely it made me slap myself because it was like you only give this person they gave her I think like 2 days or like two it was like two the number was two. It wasn't 2 years, it was like 2 months, 2 days, two
For
weeks.
what?
They standing a couple of men and women were standing on the edge of like a cliff or something real elevated over some water. They ain't have no harnesses or nothing.
Was this the one that got pushed? Like the girl came up behind her and like shoved her?
Yeah,
I remember that video.
that's crazy. And you telling me you only gonna give her what 2 days or something? It was two
Reminds me
seconds.
of that clip from SpongeBob where he's like, oh, you stole a candy bar? Okay. All right, you can go now.
Yeah, that's crazy as hell. But I don't know. I agree. I'd say transfer him. Dang, it's. I'd say transfer him to one of them rich prisons. But I don't even know if they really get treated like prisoners. That's the problem. Like, are you really being punished for your crime where you are, or is it just a vacation away from a vacation? The guy in the video, he seems to want him to come home. I'm sorry, bro. I can't. I can't even. I don't think anybody who has done anything with children should be free to roam ever. But that's why I'm glad I'm not a judge, because I don't know if I could do that without having some type of biases towards it. So
I looked it up. That girl got 2 days in jail and 38 days in a work
I knew I knew it was two something. That shit's crazy. I'd be pissed. I'd be pissed. And the young lady, man, she broke ribs and all type of collapsed lungs and all that. Like what? 2 days? And isn't it weird how they make rulings on certain things? Like one person can get like these. It was like 6 dudes. They got life behind bars for throwing a rock, and the rock went through. They got life, but then a girl can push somebody off of a fucking cliff and get 2 days.
There was also that recent one where the lady was the aggressor, and the woman that she attacked got charged with whatever. I forgot what it was, but it was like the lady was either yelling homophobe or slurs at her, and then because the woman attacked her, the woman that was getting the stuff yelled at was the one that got in trouble. Like, how does that work?
Can't make that shit up.
It seems like it's getting worse. Like in the last couple months, it just feels like the government, out of spite, is like, we're now going to start charging all the wrong people in these cases. We're just going to start like supporting the offenders because why not?
I know. Terrible. I'm curious. I want to know like what the people think. I'm gonna ask the question and see what people say. In the next live stream that we do, I'm going to read off the comments of what the people think about it, because I really want to know. Do y'all really feel like, based on what's happening with him, should he be released? Should he be transferred? I digress. Is there anything you want to say before we close out?
I thought there was a new story. Everest, please. I thought there was a new story, but I can't remember. Before we go, did we have a talking point for tomorrow? I remember I sent you that list a while ago, so I didn't know.
You see, that's the crazy thing. Like, so I have 2 different emails. So you sent stuff, but I'm getting them on an email that I don't open up. So
I'm probably gonna start using Discord in general, because the Gmail that you send the links to right now is it wants me to pay for an account to, like, oh, you're out of space, and so to keep using your email, please pay. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. So I'm transitioning away from that email, so we could use Discord if you want.
I got it covered. All right.
Yeah, because I know I use one for my writing and then one for this. So.
All right. Well, we about to get up out of here. I am going to do a reaction to that Glorilla drink because I'm still irritated about it. But I appreciate you guys for hanging out with us tonight. Drive safe. Happy hump day to everybody. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Y'all take it easy. All right.
All right.